What's the difference between a dream, a wish to do something, and a calling when there's just no saying no? Today's guest is a professional photographer and so much more. Get ready, you're going to love this. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Art of a Meaningful Life podcast. We're so excited today because what I love to chat about how we can bring more meaning to our lives. And there's so many different ways, and yet a lot of us seem kind of lost. Today, I've got Cindy Karchner. Did I say that right, Cindy?
Yes.
Okay. Today I have Cindy Karchner, who is a photo artist. And look, I took this from her Instagram, but I kind of know these things. But explorer, adventurer, and dreamer. I just love that. But welcome, Cindy.
Thanks so much, Carmen.
Oh
Thank
my
you
God.
for inviting me to talk with you today.
And I'm making it my mission to not talk so much today. But I'm going to fail for just 1 second here and tell our audience that we became friends on Instagram, and I love your work. And I love particularly you will post some quotes that I end up sharing to my stories because they just brighten my day.
Oh,
And
thanks.
you're welcome. And we've had the good fortune of actually photographing together at workshops or meeting each other first. We didn't photograph together in Texas last year, but this year we just spent pretty much a week in Delaware, palling around and learning. And it was fantastic, just fantastic.
It was a great experience, and I'm glad we got to spend that time together.
Oh yeah, me too. So what was your favorite part?
Oh, my favorite part, of course, was Assateague and the horses. I tell everybody this story how you and I watched them eat the vegetation, and the that one white and brown horse reared its head, gave them the signal, and they all walked to the beach. And
Mhm.
I thought, you remember how excited I was? They're gonna run, they're gonna run. No, what they do? They went to the beach and they laid down.
They took a nap. They took a nap. All but one was
I
standing
know.
by. I'm like,
Yeah,
hey, let's run just a little.
I know. What a letdown.
Yeah. And you know what? I was so into watching their movements. I didn't even realize to like looked at my photos. I'm not proud of this either, but that one of them was very pregnant. Like
Yes,
looked like, her, it was the baby's going to be born anytime.
anytime.
Did I miss that? I don't know. I looked at my picture and went, oh, I see.
I know.
Yeah.
No, it was a great experience. But when we weren't shooting the horses, photographing the horses, let's say that, um, uh, I was busy looking at the beautiful sunrise hitting certain areas of the beach, like the fencing and stuff. That's one of my favorite shots, really, where I got the sun hitting the fence. It was beautiful.
I think I saw that on your Instagram this yesterday, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, breathtaking. Of course.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was beautiful.
There's so much beauty in the simple things,
Oh, there is,
just everywhere.
that's what I always look for.
Mm, yeah.
But stuff nobody else is paying any attention to.
Isn't that a funny thing? We're like wandering off ourselves in our own little world. Like,
Yeah,
where's Cindy?
that's
She's over there with the fence, and
the fence.
we're like, stand. That is cool. And yeah. And there's horses and beach and surf
Yeah,
and sunrise.
yeah.
Yeah. And so what, some people might not know is our wake-up call. I mean, what did we meet in the lobby at 4:15 in the AM?
4 a.m. Yep, to get in the car and go to drive to Assateague. But I was up an hour before, so
I don't think I woke up till around 6:30, but there I was present. I was it was well worth it. It was well worth it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
So photographer, artist, I think you to see beauty and you bring that out, and boy, we could use more beauty in our world always, I think. How did you get started?
Well, when I was in college, I studied art, so I dabbled in painting and drawing and printmaking and graphic design and photography too. So all those things, and in my mind, they're all connected, interconnected, in how we see the world. And other artists inspire me every day. So um, that's how I got started. I always wanted to be an artist. So I waited until I retired, and now it's my time to be an artist.
So you didn't do that as your primary living through
No,
through
no,
your
I was a human resource professional for 30 years, and I loved that because I love people and I love helping people and I love helping people help themselves. So that was the primary focus of my career.
Yeah. Do you think your creativity played a part in your ability to support others in human resource?
Yeah, I really think so. Because I was always in human resources, I was always a collaborator. So, always connecting people to each other. I hear from one person that they're interested in doing X, so I would connect them with Y. So that was always a primary function of what I did, and I always, I looked at everybody, treated everyone with respect, and that was the key to having great relations, employee relations in the workplace.
Yeah. What a generous spirit. That's a generosity characteristic, I think, when you hear someone and you connect them. I mean, you've done that for me. You hear about workshops or things. That's how I learned about the, let me see if I can say it on Mid-Atlantic
Regional,
Regional Professional Photography School or
yeah,
School of Professional Photography, Mars. We called it Mars.
Mars.
But
Mars. That's the easy way to say it.
yeah, it's Mars. We were on Mars for the week. It felt
Yeah,
like it. It was pretty great. You connected me to that. I'd never heard of that before. And
yeah,
not only that, you said, "Oh, hey, they looks like they have scholarship too." And
yeah.
I was down to the wire and I applied and I got it. And I
Awesome.
yeah, well, thank you for that. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
even known if you hadn't have been so generous to say, "Hey, look here." And what about that? And other people that you have referred me to, other artists and other things going on. So
sure, sure.
very generous spirit.
Well, thanks. I was just photographing a young aspiring actress on Monday, and she and I were talking. I was trying to help get her loosened up for her headshots, and we were talking about her aspirations and what she likes to do. And when I finally broke the ice with her, oh my goodness, the photographs were fabulous because she became animated, and I was able to follow up after the headshot session and send her information about local choral groups and things that she could join, that don't cost anything, but get her a lot more experience. So
Wow. You're a connector.
yeah, I'm trying to be.
No, you are? Okay, so speaking of that, I
Yeah,
just have to point out that while we are in Delaware, our beautiful magazine here, our journal for the Professional Photographer Association, this is a big deal. On page, is it 68? 62. Cindy has an article, they have an article all about you. And look at the beautiful artwork there. And
thank you.
is, oh, you're welcome, it's gorgeous. Making connections. And boy, did they get that right.
What's that?
They got that right.
Yeah.
Making connections, yeah.
Mm,
And it says you believe in building community to build your craft.
definitely.
Yeah. So and for anyone who's in business and if you're not, you'll need to know this too. Like one of the most important things are connection with others, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're photographing nature, tell me about connection in nature.
Well, you're making connections, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It can be with nature. You know that from photographing flowers. That's really important. You're connecting in that you're recognizing the beauty in front of you, and you're trying to capture the essence of that flower or that landscape, and convey that to the people that will eventually see your image.
Mhm.
I was just having a conversation with another PPA member this morning about, I I tend to photograph alone, and so I'm on my own, and it becomes almost a meditative state, because I'm by myself, it gives me time to think, gives me time to appreciate my surroundings and recognize that beauty. And then uh, the connection I make with other people is telling the story of how I captured that.
Mhm.
Like I'll give you an example. So in 2023, I went out on July 4th morning. I go out early on holidays because nobody else is around. And I went to photograph a poppy field. And the poppy field was stunning. Red, white, and blue poppies on July 4th,
Amazing.
and no sun.
Oh, so
There was
okay. So for those who
no
don't know,
no sun. It was
want
nothing
no.
but fog. And so, okay, how do I convey this message? So it's actually one of my most popular images because I tell people about my going out, at the crack of dawn to capture this image. And then to my delight, the poppies are red, white, and blue. If nothing else, I got that conveyed in the message. So
Your story. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I've recently noticed that now when I go out, I usually like to I say I'm being pulled or called. And
Okay.
I don't have always have a strong, in fact, I try not to have a strong sense of what I'm going for other than, hey, I'm in a field of poppies and the feeling and the story unveils itself to me if I can kind of stand back. And maybe
Sure.
that's where that meditative, it's like we're one with nature because we are nature. And
Yep.
that's a time that we are like in this, that's that real connection for me is that I'm with them there. And I've also realized, and tell me if you've experienced this too, that my images reflect what I'm kind of feeling is I'm going in, even though, so if there are some things that in our world, that to me feel chaotic and not real comfortable.
Mhm.
And I noticed that some of my images look a little chaotic and just a little off, that's a bit uncomfortable, but still beautiful.
Mm,
And I thought, yeah, because that's how I'm feeling right now. And
sure.
in spite of being, well, you put me in a field of flowers and I'm pretty joyful. Just gonna say I'm like lost in my own world, but it
Yes.
comes through, right? It comes through. And
Yes.
have you experienced that yourself or have you noticed?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. I guess I probably don't go out if I'm not feeling up to it, I wouldn't go there if I'm not in the right frame of mind. But it's what the environment does to you, to calm you and to bring you back to the world where you belong.
Yes.
Take you away from that. I tell you, I lose all sense of reality when I photograph. So like I go out, if I'm the least bit agitated, it all goes away as I'm photographing.
Mm,
So
exactly.
I get lost.
I know. I
I
sometimes
get lost and found.
it's a good thing somebody kept time for us during our workshop when we all kind of scrambled did our thing. Like, be back in an hour. And to me, an hour might, I mean, that's like a blink of an eye for us when we're roaming around, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I just don't like to think about time either.
No.
So I don't particular pay attention to it,
No.
because
No.
otherwise my images do look a little pressured then.
Oh, really?
A little,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if that's my own perspective coming through, but I think I could tell the difference uh, depending on where I'm sitting myself first, emotionally speaking.
Sure.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm actually thinking about um, taking an idea and inspiration. I've got a song, like a song maybe, or a poem, or a book, or something, and saying, okay, now I want to have that represented in my art.
Oh,
That's
mhm.
my inspiration, just to
Yeah,
push the envelope a little bit more. 'Cause I've had
sure.
fun doing that.
I think there's um, it's kind of a natural connection, at least if you are a lover of music, there's a natural connection between music and photography and nature. I mean, I'll actually I'll see a scene and it'll bring up a song, or my collection of water images that I did at the zoo. It brought up old memories of songs by Genesis, you know, and then that's what on my website I even have it's all about ripples.
Really? So,
Ripples never ripples never come back.
ah,
So
right. Send them off and they're gone.
yeah.
Wow. So when did you do the water?
It
Was it
was last year. My friend and I went over to the Philadelphia Zoo, and she was photographing the penguins in the penguin tank, and I was in turn photographing the water, the ripples the penguins were making in the water. So I got no penguin pictures. She got all the penguin pictures.
got the
But I love them
yeah,
because that was when I had actually it's mentioned in that article in the PPA magazine. It was based on an article I read by the same person that wrote my article. She had written an article a year ago on another photographer in England who shoots at 1/8,000th of a second when he's shooting water. And it fascinated me. So I thought, I'm going to play with it. So I spent the whole time at the zoo shooting at 1/8,000th of a second.
yeah. Just to why not, right? To give it a
All
try.
right.
Yeah, there's so much wrapped up in what you just said. So those who don't know photography, that is a really fast
Shutter
shutter
speed.
speed to take a picture. I don't even, it's less than a nanosecond, right? It's like really
Yeah,
fast. See how technical I am? It's really fast.
it is fast.
And the fact that a person who's writing an article about you, you had read her previous article, not
I
knowing
did.
she was going to write about you, and the topic that's that connection that we just can't. How do you explain that? You
I
just
don't know. Well, and on top of it, I had been to Texas school last year, and the photographer I was working with there was shooting at 1/8,000th of a second for portraits.
really.
Yes, really. And it was like mind blowing to
I
me. Like, who would have thought to to shoot portraits at
yeah.
that fast of a shutter speed. But what she accomplishes by that is she shoots in the middle of the day and with
Oh,
direct sunlight, and it cancels it out basically because it's so fast.
so bad. Because my first thought, I think of portrait lighting, all the setup, and I'd say, well, you got to have I'd have to really think outside the box with regard to lighting to get a
Mhm.
portrait. But
Yeah.
outside, yeah, because in the bright of the day, for those who don't know, photography for portraits in the bright of the day is very harsh.
Mhm.
If you want to show every little crook and cranny and how tired we might be feeling, that's the time to do it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that speed, I guess, wow. That's
Yeah. So that 8,000th of a second was my theme last year.
okay. So what's your next theme?
Oh, my next theme, I've been working on working with artists, other artists. So I'm photographing both their work and taking headshots of them for I call it elevate your art. So I'm helping them to elevate their brand and take their art to the next level. So art, we all, as artists, all need help from one another to support each other. And, there's so here in the Lehigh Valley, as I'm sure there are where you live, there are so many extraordinary artists here locally. And there's, you know, I'm encouraging by doing this, I'm helping them grow in their field and I'm helping them to elevate themselves brand wise. And it's been really exciting because I'm working with uh, two glass blowers
Mm,
and their craft and helping to elevate the image of their art, their finished pieces, and it's helping them to get into jury exhibitions. It's
mhm,
helping them get the attention they deserve for the craft that they have,
mhm.
and that to me is really exciting.
That is so wonderful. I mean, we as photographers, a lot of the images that we present are photographs or images, or they're JPEGs or they're images that we created that we're not having to take a picture of a piece of art. That
Yes.
there's a challenge because the ones that I have framed and needed to photograph, it's a challenge to
Yeah.
photograph them to show just to not lose some of the magnificence from it, right?
Right.
So yeah, what a gift that is for people because it's not easy. Because
No.
I've never seen an artist look at a picture and go, well, and not say, it looks so much better in person.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So I'm learning to photograph work and make it look as good as it does in person, which is important.
Hmm.
You need to see what I see.
Hmm.
And um in doing so, I've also my friend and I um we're going to have an art exhibition in January of next year, and she's going to present her work, and I'm going to present art that I've created from her work. So from the photographs that I've taken, it's inspiring me to create art.
How did,
So
tell me more about that because that's
so
pretty.
I'll have I haven't done it yet, but I'm very inspired by her art. And I hope to create pieces that will complement her actual three-dimensional pieces that we can hang with it.
Yeah,
So that's inspiring to me.
what a cool idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not? Artists inspiring other artists. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And of all times, I think we always, I don't think art is a luxury. I think it's creativity, art, whether it's music, writing, performing, photography, painting, drawing, you name it, dancing. Art is like essential to our well-being.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the things we're talking about, walking into nature and how we feel, and we just get kind of in this meditative mode. There's actually science behind that too,
Yeah,
that with the happy chemicals in our brain and the dopamine hits and things, that it really does lower blood pressure, lower your heart rate, and promote healing. And it's a healthy place.
definitely.
And it can be pretty much free and easy to do. And even if you're feeling like, I don't want to go out there right now, I've got this on my mind and stuff, as soon as you get out there and you're really taking in what's around, it's like, oh, okay.
Mm. Yeah.
It's a break. Yeah. Like those commercials back that used to be Calgon, right? Calgon, take me
Take
away.
me away. It really is my happy place
Hmm.
to be photographing and capturing nature and
Yeah.
helping others, through that process.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And connection. If there was anything that COVID taught us, I think it taught us a lot. How important connection is definitely one of those.
Sure.
Uh-huh. And to continue that is fantastic. Yeah. I mean, we are right now.
Yeah.
We are right now. So that's pretty cool. I so you mentioned Professional Photographers Association. And
Yes,
for those who aren't aware, as a photographer, I mean, everybody's a photographer right now, Cindy. You
I
grab
know.
your cell phone, you get out there and, you know, or I think, just put it in automatic if you got a camera and go for it. And um, I think people might be a bit surprised to learn that the learning photography and becoming a photographic artist is like you've got to have that natural talent or know where you need to work on, right? But tell me about your journey with that. I mean, I'm self-taught. I took a lot of classes. So I say self-taught from the beginning. I was a clothing design major and I took art classes. So I can't say I didn't take any art. I did. It's where I learned I was colorblind, as a matter of fact. But I I didn't take my first photography class until I decided this is what I want to do, which is,
Well, I took photography in college, and I studied art history, so I studied all different types of genres of art and composition and um, color theory and all those types of things. And it all plays into the basics when you're photographing. If you have those basics, artistic basics, then when you're composing a photograph, that's great. You've got half of it there. The other end, of course, you and I both know are all the technical aspects of photographing. It's not just picking up a camera and clicking a button. You gotta recognize light and shadow and all the variations in between. You need to recognize your what it is you're trying to capture and know how to technically do that.
Mhm.
Um, do you want a shallow depth of field, a longer depth of field? Do you want crisp image through and through? Do you want,
Mhm.
fall off after your subject? If you're photographing people, how do you photograph them and make them look good?
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
there's an art to it all.
Yeah. And I think, tell me if you agree. I think let's say your fence there in the sand on the beach,
My
right?
fence. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
thank
And
you.
what people don't know is the horses were just to your right and the ocean to your left, right? And you saw this. And I think if you line up, say, 10 photographers and you say, photograph this fence. Now, you're going to get 10 different point of views.
For
Some of
sure.
us love the light and we're going to play with the light and the shadows and so it's and we're going to see things differently. We're
Hmm.
going to have
Others are gonna look at the curve of the fence.
yeah,
Others are gonna see the shapes or the shadows caused by the fence,
yeah.
with the sun on it.
And you're
I tried to capture a lot of different aspects of that fence.
yeah.
But to me, when I was standing there, that fence was trailing off somewhere distant in the future,
And
out there, and the dunes were looked very misty and ethereal. So I was like trying to capture that feeling of,
the mystery the future almost.
yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it was a cool feeling to
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah. I love that interpretation. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just
And not everybody sees that, I'm sure, when they look at that image, but it was just how I felt at the time.
I don't know. I think the first thing is like a gut feeling about something. We're attracted to it for some reason. And then our
Yeah.
curiosity, which is so closely related to creativity. If you're not curious, being curious is like the first step, right?
Mhm.
What if
Yeah.
there's a little bit more sky and less
Yeah.
sand? What if there's more sand in an image and less?
Sure.
I mean, it changes the whole feel of it. And when you walk by something and your attention is caught, similar to the artist that you've been photographing her work, you're inspired, right? His or her, the
Both.
but okay, and
Yeah.
it is like inspiring to you, so you're drawn to it and look closer. And I see things that when I photograph things, I see things I'd never would have seen just by looking with just my eyes.
Sure.
And sometimes, yes, there's a surprise bug inside the flower that I never saw, right? But
Yeah.
I mean the overall feel
Mhm.
for, I say flower, I love flowers. The overall feel for the flower was something that I didn't appreciate, didn't see in the same way uh,
Sure.
before. Not like I do through my camera lens. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I encourage, if you haven't just stopped and looked at stuff, just
Yeah.
take the time, and even if it's 4 breaths worth, take the time to take it in and look and see. You'll probably
Yeah.
see things you haven't noticed before.
And some of the best advice I ever got was turn around. Turn around because we're so focused. Sometimes we're so intent on the what's in front of us, we forget to look behind us and we're missing a whole nother world behind us. So that was some of the best advice I'd ever been given.
Yes, and so much of our favorite time to photograph is morning light, early morning light for those
Mhm.
who wake up early, and then the evening light, right? But what
Mhm.
happens to the sky when the sun goes down over on this side, the sky on the other side is a whole nother show. And
It is.
it doesn't that tell the story of our lives, right? We see and think about what's ahead when there's all kinds of stuff going on around us, that if you're way too focused in one place, you miss out on so much,
Yeah,
on so much.
so true.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's art has had a way of reshaping how I see a lot of things,
Mhm.
actually. And I think a world without art or without appreciation and encouragement and the connection, the kind of things that you do, the connection, a world without all that would be so missing
Oh
and
yeah.
meaning, um and yet sometimes it's not so valued, Cindy. I mean, art programs get bumped in schools and stuff,
Yeah.
mm, or it's seen as coloring books and stuff.
Mhm.
But maybe we can change that, in the second part of our lives, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, you're doing that already. So I like to close with a question, and I'm going to say I don't have it memorized because I don't have it memorized. So, um, yeah, if you could do just one thing over again, one thing over, what would you do?
I probably would have started photographing sooner, you know.
Hmm.
I kind of put away my camera for 20 plus years and uh didn't use it much except to photograph my daughter. So I would probably have done more photography sooner in life.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I wonder. See, if you had asked me that question, I stumble because I think, but then that would change everything else too.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
But
I
yeah.
mean, I really did. I loved my career. I enjoyed working with people. But I've always been a workaholic. And now I'm doing it with my photography. So
You are you do keep active.
I'm an overachiever. So yeah, like I try never to stop. So until I'm ready to collapse.
Yeah. I could be vice president of that club
You
because my
can
friends.
we can all sleep when we're dead.
My dad used to say that.
No, my father was a big inspiration to me. He always had a camera in his hand. He wasn't a professional photographer, he was an engineer. So he always had a camera in his hand, and we always had family around, and he was always documenting our family. And before he passed away, he and my mother and I, we cataloged their 13,000 slides that they took over 40 years of my life. And I then came back and digitized them all,
Mhm.
and shared them with my family so that my family, and they still talk about them to this day. And that was 20 years ago.
Wow.
They still talk about them. So it still brings them joy.
Okay. I was going to ask you for something in closing. What might you give advice and things? And I have just been going through slides for my family too, and
Oh,
putting them into digitalizing. And I'm making a slideshow for my son and telling
nice.
him stories, right? Because he doesn't remember what was going on, and I wanted him to know what I was feeling and thinking at the time because he's never going to have that otherwise, right?
No,
And so as much as I don't like to edit videos, I'm creating videos and telling him the stories behind those. And I think that that will be something that not just he, but my grandchildren and
yeah,
grandchildren after that might enjoy. At least I hope so.
yeah.
Yeah, I think.
That's a gift. That's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if there's any way, I mean, so often we've got pictures in our cell phones, and maybe you don't take pictures with a camera, you've got your cell phone. Find a way to keep those and either print or have them in such a way that they're not going to get lost and
Yes.
gone. Because what a tragedy that would be.
Yeah.
What a tragedy.
Yep.
Well, do you have any words of wisdom before we close?
Words of wisdom.
About,
I truly believe in doing what you love. And, you shouldn't, every day should be spent doing something you love, you know, every day.
every day. Yes,
Life's too short.
absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Perfect closing, Cindy. Thank you so much for
Sure.
being here. And
Thank you.
I know, yeah, I know you're all going to have comments and things to say, and we want to see them. So please put them in the comments, subscribe, and in the description for the video, Cindy's contact will be there. Go there, follow her on her social media. Yes, we're a little older, but we do social media. We're out there showing our stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, making videos and we're both on a mission, really. I know we are. That's I think why we really like each other. We're
Yeah,
in our own ways, like taking this part of our lives and making it meaningful and bringing it all together. And
yeah,
mhm.
definitely.
And I know we're not alone. So there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, and all that contact will be there. And thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you next week.